Hey guys, welcome to Smooth Workshop. Terry here. Right. Ooh, what's this? All sitting here on shiny sticks. Shiny sticks? No shiny sticks. Cocktail sticks. Right. We've got first coat of top coat on some of these parts. Ooh. Shiny, shiny. Getting near the finished job now. Oh, look at that. It's lovely. Not finished yet, but yeah. So in this episode, I'm going to show how I got to here. I've finally shot some top coat onto the parts. I'm watching where I put my hands because it's still wet. All these parts here are still all wet. This problem part at the back that I was having, oh, it's looking lovely. So really chuffed with that. Wish I could be saying the same about my chrome efforts. Getting there, redressing some things. You'll see how I got on with that. So that's what we're covering in this one. We're going to be doing spraying top coat, redressing the chrome, a quick run through on God, that stuff's dried already, thank goodness. A quick run through on cleaning your airbrush out with cellulose thinners, because we're not using acrylics in this one, we're using hot lacquers. Hot, smelly. Oh, make sure you've got one of these. Oh, can I get it? You're going to be spraying this stuff, guys. Whoa, get yourself a respirator, seriously. I'm not using one in this, but if you're going to be using hot solvent based paints, get yourself a respirator. It's not good for your lungs. Off and watch the video. Come on, off you go. Hi guys, welcome back to Smooth Workshop. Terry here. Right, I'm carrying on a bit here with my RZ250 Build from Tamiya. Been doing a wee bit of work in the background. I've taken off the Tamiya Chrome X11 that they tell you in the kit to put on the forks, and I have spray painted this before. This is AK Extreme Metals AK477 Chrome. It's an enamel based chrome paint. Mixed results so far brush painting it. Have I got a pointy stick? Probably not, knowing me, because I'm never prepared. As I said before in a previous video, I stripped all this back and I brush painted with Tamiya X1 black, the gloss, not this one, to give it a nice shiny coat for it to go on, and I put two coats on of AK Extreme Chrome. Now whilst I'm getting in these little areas here the smoother ones, some really nice chrome like effects, what I tended to find was in the bit that had all the tape marks and was possibly still a bit rougher, it went more about, you probably can't pick it out much on camera, not as shiny. So I'm rubbing back again. I don't think I'm going to rub back these parts at the top, because they are giving me a decent colour. I might go over with another coat, but I'm going to rub this right back again. I'm going to try just seeing if I can rub it back and buff it with my cut down buffer stick to get a nice shiny finish, and try putting a couple of coats of that on again. If that doesn't work, once it's dry, I'm going to strip it back and I'm going to go in with Mr. Hobby Colour number 2, that's their gloss black. Now that's a cellulose or lacquer based paint for my American friends. It could be that the surface underneath isn't getting shiny enough, especially when you're brush painting, you know, it's a bit harder. So that's the options. What I did find with this, it's extremely thin and watery. If any of you guys have done an oil pin wash before, what happens is when you're doing an oil pin wash, you'll touch it on something and it'll wick away across all the parts. Well, yeah, when I'm touching up all these, it's wicking across all the seams. So once I get the chrome the way I want it, which hopefully it might take a couple of attempts, but hopefully I'll get it in the next one, I'm going to have to redress some of the bits that it's wicked along that I didn't want it to go along, and it's just that this is so thin. In hindsight, if I knew about this product when I first done it, what I would have done, the headlight wouldn't have been on, the speedo wouldn't have been on, Possibly the horn wouldn't have been on, and what I would have done was I would have just sprayed it with the gloss, the whole lot, and then I would have sprayed it with the chrome, and then I would have waited till that was totally dry and then masked it off and sprayed the bottom of the forks and then did all the touch up in between. But because I'm doing this in retrospect and going back to it, I'm having to try and work in around the parts that are already glued together. So I've started rubbing this one down, this fork tube here. So I'm going to go off camera, keep working on that, get it as smooth as I can with this wee buffy stick, maybe even cut myself another bit. I mean, it's basically, when I'm on about the buffy sticks, it's just one of these ultimate modelling products, buffy sticks, and I've taken an older one, which I've got lying here, yeah, and I'm just cutting down little strips with my craft knife to make smaller and smaller buffers, so that I can get in round about it. So that's what I'm going to do with that. So I'll go off camera and do that. Regarding, right, I said I was having a wee bit of bother spraying this ultimate primer. Now seemingly it's, the white pigment's a bit thicker. If you're hearing cracks in the background, it's my fridge freezer doing funny things. It's a bit thicker. Now I was always told not to thin these down, but I really can't get this stuff to spray. So what I did is ultimate airbrush thinner, okay. I did a roughly 60% primer to 40% thinner mix. It sprays beautifully, it's like a totally different paint. So I've done one application in sandback, and there's a couple of very small blemishes just at the back here, but certainly that filler's filled everything in. So I'm just basically going into prepping the primer to give the best finish before going with the top coat. So that's going to get rubbed back a bit more, and I'm going to go in with some more of the white primer, but at a 60-40 mix with the ultimate airbrush thinner. Now, as I've mentioned before in my Steino Res review and all that, you're not really supposed to thin a primer down, but the white needs it. If I'm in a 0.5 brush spraying at 28 to 30 psi and it's still not coming out right, I've had to go down the thinners route, and to be quite honest, it's given me lovely results. So although I've never had to thin the black, thinning the white is an option and it works. I've tested it and I'm not getting any spatter. I can shoot it at a lower pressure, I can take it down to about 25, which means I'm not getting so much tip dry or wee bits of paint building up on the tip and then them spattering off. So a bit more rework on these. So when I come back, hopefully I've got the forks sanded down, and I'll dress these up, and I'll show you how I mix up the 60-40, and I'll give them another wee blast over, and then it's waiting for things to dry again, I'm afraid. So back in about 5, see you in a bit. Hey guys, welcome back. Right, I've done my bit of dressing up. I haven't taken it back totally. I'm just basically trying to take all the imperfections out and get it smooth and shiny, which I've done with my buffer stick. And you can probably hear it. One side's got the very fine abrasive on, and the other one is polishing, and it's squeaky. So I'm going to try and cheat. I'm not going to put another gloss coat under it. I'm going to try with it just buffed up and squeaky. Now I'm just going to mix this stuff up, because there's a lot of metallic pigment at the bottom here. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it, is it in shot? I've got a little cup down here, a wee shot cup with some white tack on the bottom. I'm not going to need a lot of this paint, because it's just a tiny area. It's really thin. I don't even know if you can make out the marbling in there. Right, it's an enamel based, oil based. Funny thing is, you need cellulose thinners to clean your brush, so I tried it with the AK odorless thinners, doesn't take it off. So I'm not exactly sure of the consistency of what's in here, but I'm just going to get some of that into my coat, just with the stirry stick. I did do it in my wee metal palette before, and I'm wondering if the aluminium reacted with it slightly, so I'm doing it in a plastic pot this time. I'm still learning at this stuff, guys. I'm trying different things and I'm doing stuff in retrospect and not quite getting the results I wanted. Got brilliant results with this stuff, spraying it in my metals test over the Tamiya X1 base, but it doesn't seem to be working in the brush painting method. It's starting to bug me slightly, but I will get there. I will get there. Perseverance, a little bit of patience. So, the brush I was using before, it's just a, now what was it I said? I can't remember what I called them before, but they're ABC brushes. There's a guy on eBay sells them, and it's just a little detail brush. So, clean brush, and I'm going to take some of this chrome mix, take off the excess. Now you can see how watery this is, possibly going down the cup in fact. Sorry for the camera whizzing about. Right, for those guys that do pin washes, right, this is how thin this stuff is. You touch it on the cup and it's like an oil pin wash. Hence me saying that it wicked away when I was painting it on. So I'm going to try and get some of this on my brush, load it up, and we're going to go back into, let's see if I'm on camera or not, putting a coat on. And I'm just going to put it on quickly. It's really, really watery. And it almost like fizzes when you put it on. It's weird stuff. And it doesn't like being retouched. That much I did notice. I'm going to get a cotton bud on there because it's coming a bit too far down onto my nice rubber paint, but I'm going to try and not rework it too much and just get it on and let it do its stuff. But from the results when I did the paint test, I found that 2 coats was optimum for it. Because I've rubbed this back to the bare plastic in some places, it might not adhere as well as it would if I had put a gloss coat under it. We shall see. One can only try. I'm getting kind of fed up of rubbing this back, trying it again, rubbing it back, trying it again. This is the last attempt. I'm going to put 2 coats of this on. The last attempt at doing it this way. And then I'm going to try going in with a lacquer based gloss coat. Right, so that's them coated. The stuff up the top's looking not bad. I don't think that one needs touched up. That one's quite chromy and shiny. That one isn't quite so. I'm going to just try get this wee pipe out of the way. Try going over these again. Because I've noticed, I'll show you after I've done this, the neck of the bottle. We're taking the neck of the bottle on and off. You get a build up a nice chrome finish. And it could possibly be that it needs a wee bit more than what I'm putting on it. And it's wicking away along the black parts. Yuck! But I knew that was going to happen, so I'm going to have to redress all of those semi-gloss black bits. Not an issue. If I can get the chrome looking the way I want it, I don't mind a little bit more dress up. Hopefully this is on camera. I'm just quickly putting another wee coat on them. So yeah, I think I'll do this one as well. And I'm thinking, because it likes a shiny base, it's obviously going to like its own paint as a shiny base. Right, so that's that on. and I've been leaving roughly 3 or 4 hours in between coats. Maybe that's too long, maybe that's too quick, I don't know. So just basically touching up the bits that came up not too bad and wondering if another coat's going to help them, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I've not got perfect coverage on the bottom, but I'm going to let it work and do its stuff, and when it's dry, stick another coat on. I've got another couple of wee dots to put on this, and again, even though I'm only trying to do the buckle, it's wicking along almost like a pin wash along with the bits I don't want it to go into it. Not an awful lot I can do about that, apart from dress it up afterwards. But I'm hoping it's going to give a better effect than the paint that was on there before. We shall see. The trials and tribulations of trying new products out. I've given myself a lot of work redoing this, but I'm hoping at the end it's all worth it. I'll never get something that totally replicates chrome. That's that done. So I can only try and get the best I can. So I'll let that sit there. Now, yeah, I've tried cleaning this up with, I'll just take my wee cup and stick it across there. I've tried cleaning my brush up with the odorless thinners. It just doesn't want to look at it, even though it's an enamel based paint. Don't know why. Maybe AK do their own thinners. So I've just been taking a tiny wee dot of cellulose thinners into my paint well and cleaning my brush that way, and it seems to get it off. But lacquer thinners is it'll thin back anything really. Right, so that's my brush clean. I'll just clean my palette out. So that's that bit done. I had hoped to be going on leaps and bounds because I did a lot of this off camera, and I was thinking, oh yeah, I'll do my 2 coats of this off camera and just show you what I've done, and it didn't work. So I'm trying it again, and I'm just trying to see if any of that's flashing off yet. Top stuff's looking great, bottom stuff we shall have to wait and see, but I've definitely got a lot of touch up to do on the semi-gloss back bits. I don't know if you can quite make out where it's wicked along the seam there. That's, the paint is really thin. I'll just clean out what's in the bottom of this just now. Oh, I remember what I was going to show you. Right, I'll just get, not to get myself all covered in silver, I'll just get the worst of it out so I can use it again. The wee pot for the same paint. Right, stick that out of the way. Oh, cracking my cups. Yeah, so it just smells like an enamel. And it's matte for my nice new cutting mat, but anyway, okay. So that's that bit done. Right. Going back to, I'm just checking I've no silver on my fingers. Going back to the other bits, right. This bit needs a tiny little bit of dress up. Might need to put another coat on it. I gave the tank another once over, and I'm just looking in at the light. 1 or 2 small areas of dress up on it. And the side panels are fine. Front mudguard, I went a bit heavy at one area. So how I'm dressing these up is, I've got a brand new buffer stick, okay, and I'm just ever so gently with the buffer side of it running it across where the wee blemishes are, ever so lightly, because it's a really fine grade. Why am I putting so much effort into this? Well, anything that's on your base coat is going to show up under your gloss coat. So if you've got lumps and bumps under your gloss coat, it's going to show up in the top coat, and we don't want that. Now, because I've been building this up in gentle layers, it's a bit like wet sanding, apart from doing it with a buffer stick. I can see a tiny wee blemish at the back right in the middle there. It's kind of annoying me. It might cover over with the gloss. You know, I'm going to be putting a couple of coats of gloss on here, lacquer based, and then I'm going to be putting after the decals are done, I'm going to be putting a lacquer coat on it. So it might cover up, but white shows up everything. So I'm just giving it all a wee dress up. Can I still see a blemish? A couple of tiny ones. So you don't have to go to this much detail. It depends. I mean, at the end of the day, the more work you put into your prep, the better a result you're going to get with your model. And I'm being a bit anal about it with this one. Any blemishes, rub it back. If I can still see it, spray another wee thin coat over. And then watch me, I'll go and muck up the top coat. I'll go too thick or something like that and get runs or something stupid on it. I actually don't think... I can see a tiny wee dot. A tiny wee dot. Am I going to make it any better by going over that again? Yeah, maybe. Right, tank. I've got a tiny wee bit of something on there that wasn't there before. Why is it there? Tiny wee rub with the buffy stick. Just gently. I'm not wanting to peel back layers of paint. I'm just wanting to take any spatters or anything that might have come, which shouldn't actually since I thinned it down, and then a wee buff up smooth. That's looking okay there. Got a wee bit of something there. On camera. Get it on camera, Terry. A wee bit of buff back there. Main bit of the tank. Just a gentle. Because this is so fine, it's just taking off any slight imperfections off the top, if there's any wee bits of dry spatter or anything like that. How's that looking? That's looking good. There's nothing major popping up there that's going to scream at me, oh no, this is going to look terrible under your top coat. So yeah, this is something that some people would do with wet sanding, but I'm not wanting to go to the black underneath. I want to keep the white there. If I was to go back through it again, I'll need to put more paint on. But when we're talking about when you're airbrushing, it's microscopic layers of paint that we're working with here. It's not like on a car. You can lay a nice big thick coat on. The airbrush is only putting wee thin coats onto the surface. I'm pretty happy there's no blemishes on that, and that when I go over with my top coat, I can see a tiny wee bit of seam line there on the tank. Tiny. But I don't think that needs any more work or any more paint. So I'm saying that bit's ready for top coat. Side panels is ready for top coat. Right, let's see how we get on with this mudguard. If this mudguard comes up alright, I'm going to chance it with the tiny wee blemish that's on this and go with top coat. Now, the bit I was looking at, although it all looks reasonably smooth, there was a bit of paint build up that I didn't quite get before, so I'm just gently going over with the buffer. As I say, it's really fine grade. I can't remember what Paul and Lee pumped these out from Ultimate Modelling Products, and he did at one point tell me what the grade was. One side this has got a really fine grade, 3000, maybe 4000 or 5000 grit, so you can actually use this for polishing canopies. And the other side is just a buffer. It's just really smooth. It doesn't actually take anything, well, minuscule amounts off, but it doesn't dig in and lets you polish it up. And funnily enough, this primer is so good when it goes on, if you buff it with a buffy stick and then go over the buffer, you can actually get a gloss shine off it, semi-gloss shine off it. So I'm just making sure there's no imperfections, because the next stage I'm going to go into this is a top coat of the white. So if I don't take the time now, it's going to look rough as anything when I go in to put the top coat on. And that's the thing with painting. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there. David Hunter, for one, he turns out some cracking cars, and it's a larger surface area, and these really do show up any blemishes and pitfalls. These are quite small, so I suppose it's quite forgiving. And you're looking at a model from that sort of distance, so you're probably not going to pick it up, although I might know a blemish is there. Somebody looking at it might go, oh, what a fantastic paint job, but you know where your mistakes are. I don't think this is going to need another coat. I don't think I'm going to need to make another mix of that paint up. And because it's still daylight, I'm working under daylight lamps here, and it is still daylight, so I've got a couple of daylight lamps here and it is giving me a good view. But I'm just going to go and walk up to my window, which is over there, and I'm going to got my bike gear on and a daft t-shirt. I'm just going to hold it up in the daylight. Daylight is really good. Right, that's a wee bit that I need to work it there. Daylight is better. Don't know if you can see me working away here at the window, but daylight is better for showing up any imperfections. So it's a bit like if you're decorating your house at night. You don't see where all your marks are. That looks good. That's going to be good enough. That's smooth. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that. Right, let me check this one in the daylight then. In the daylight, in the daylight. Do you know what? That's so minuscule. I'm not going to worry about it. The time a couple of layers of gloss goes over that, and the gloss tends to self-level out as well. I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm saying that my white parts, I'm back on camera again, I don't know what you got there, but I'm going to let that chrome stuff dry again, see how it comes out. I'll need a second coat obviously on the fork tubes, but the bits up the top are starting to look how I wanted them to look. The seat, I think I could prep these and prep these till like there's no tomorrow, but I think they're ready for the first shot of the gloss coat. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to put an old pair of trousers on. I'm happy enough that I've dressed these white bits back far enough to go on with the gloss coat, which will be the TS26 Pure White that I've decanted into here. So I'll be mixing that up with some Mr. Colour Self-Leveling Thinner, and we'll be putting it through the airbrush and getting a coat of top coat on, and then we'll see how that comes out. I'll let that dry overnight obviously, and we'll see where we go from there. Okay, see you in a bit, bye. Hey guys, welcome back to Smooth's Workshop. Right, hopefully I've got all my bits prepped. I've got them all sitting on cocktail sticks away behind shot and camera, with a wee crocodile clips on the end. Right, I'm going to put my first coat of top coat on, which is gloss. As I've mentioned before, it's the TS26 Pure White, which you would have seen me decanting in my how to decant Tamiya aerosol cans video. This is the paint I'm going to be using. Now it's quite well watered down, but I don't know if it's watered down enough to use in my airbrush. Obviously it's went through a whatever size the jet nozzle is in the spray can. So I'm going to do some paint prep. Get your teeth in, Terry. Paint prep here. So cap off, and my lovely paint sitting in there. So I've cleaned my Tamiya stirrer in cellulose thinners to start with. This is a hot lacquer based cellulose paint, and I'm giving it a mix up just to see what the paint looks like to start with. Now this was decanted 12 months ago, but it's been in an airtight jar. It's still in liquid form, and it's looking quite a nice milky consistency. But just as an added precaution, I'm going to add some self-leveling thinner into it, which has a retarding agent in it. The retarder just basically allows the paint to keep flowing over the surface and knit together, just for a bit longer, so it takes a little bit longer to dry, but hopefully that gives you a slightly smoother coat. So this is all nicely mixed up here. I'm quite happy with the consistency, so I'm not going to put a lot of Mr. Colour self-leveling thinner in there, but I am going to put some. So there's my Mr. Colour self-leveling thinner there. It's just basically a cellulose or lacquer based thinners, sometimes referred to as toluene, but there's a retarding agent put in it. So I'm just going to draw it up, and just so that it's all going to be the same, I'm just going to put that straight into my jar. I might put a little bit more in. That way, if I need to put more in the airbrush, it's just going to come straight out the jar, and the stuff that's in the pot's ready to spray basically when I need to use it. So I've put some thinner in there. Can you see what I'm doing down here? Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to give that self-leveling thinner a wee mix through, and hopefully it's like a really nice milky consistency, so I can spray it at a slightly lower pressure. Now I've preset my airbrush to run at roughly 20 to 22 psi. That way hopefully I shouldn't get any tip dry, and I can go a little bit closer to the subject without blowing air and blowing paint about the place. Okay, so that's my stirry stick cleaned. So now I've got my spraying here, iWater Revolution. It's been stripped and cleaned. I gave it a quick blow through with some cellulose thinner before I started. So that's that. Now this stuff is really thin. I'll just use the same pipette again, and put a few mil into my airbrush. It is looking a nice consistency. A wee bit more, save me stopping and starting. Any I don't use I can always tip back into here. So that's the paint in, and I'll put my cap back on, save any spillages. Okay, so that's that. So I'm going to turn on my compressor, so there's going to be a bit of noise, and my extractor booth. Now when you're spraying with this stuff, gloves and a respirator. I do have a respirator, but this booth pulls all the fumes out, so you wouldn't be able to hear me with a respirator on, so I'm just going to be painting the parts without one on. Don't do this at home. Right, so I'm also putting my colour cap lid on, just in case I accidentally have any tippage. Right, so compressor on, air booth on. I've got an old piece of cloth here, it's slightly dark, you'll notice, and the reason for that is so I can see when my paint's pulled through. Basically, if you're spraying white on white, you can't really see what's happening, so I'm just checking I've got air, and I'm just going to pull the paint through. As it's starting to come through, it's spraying nice, it's not hissing, and I can sign my name with it, so I can basically say that's at a nice consistency. Just check my tip, there's no tip dry on it, and I'm going to grab my first part. So first part I'm going to do is the troubled back piece. I'm just going to give it a wee blow of air, take any dust or shite off, and I'm going to start going in with a light mist coat underneath the edges to start with. Now it's quite hard to tell when you're spraying white on white, Some people do put a little bit of dye into the coat underneath, maybe a wee bit of red just to give a bit of pink or whatever. But I'm literally just misting it on the edges, just to get a wee bit of coverage starting. And I can see with atomisation there is paint coming out. Gentle, even strokes, at steady pressure, just to get the first coat on there. I don't want to be going too heavy with a thin paint because it will just run. Making sure that each pass I do starts before the workpiece and comes off the workpiece at the end. Well, just check my compressor is on, that would help. Just having a wee look at this, very fine mist coat, and it looks as if it's caught that wee bit. So I'm not going to go any heavier than that with the first bit. That's just a mist coat, that's just a general once all over coat, very fine mist. So that's that bit done. Mudguard next. Oh, a wee bit of paint coming out the top of my, I'll address that later, it saves it spilling on me. Again, blow the part off, make sure my paint's blowing, and just a gentle wee mist coat in underneath on the edges. Catching the edges of it. I'm giving it a wee blow every now and again when I come off the piece onto the paper, so if there is any paint build up on the tip, it blows it off so it spatters on the paper before I go in for my next shot, rather than it building up and then it spatters on the actual workpiece. Doesn't always work. Here we go, in my mist. I can see the mist floating about in my paint booth. It is taking the majority of it out, but that lets me know it's coming out. Just checking my tip every now and again to make sure there's no paint build up on it, so I've not got any tip dry, which is excellent. And that's got a nice thin mist coat of the top coat on it. So that's that bit done. Just to save any more mess later on, I'm just going to take a cotton bud and get this wee bit of paint off the top. Make it a bit easier for clean up later on, even though I'll be going in with cellulose thinners. Okay, so that's that bit, Let's do one of the side panels. Pull my paint through, it's coming through nicely. Wee dusting on the edges first. Now these side panels will be going two-tone. I haven't yet decided whether to brush paint the bottom half, but basically from the line down they go a semi-gloss black. Whether I mask that and airbrush it or I just brush it by hand, I haven't decided yet. But for now I'm just concentrating on getting a nice even mist coat coverage of the top coat. I will most likely put two, depending on how it looks, coats of this on. And I'm not going to over flood the area, I've just got a nice mist coat of the top coat on there, just to let it key in. So that's one side panel done. Yeah, I think I've got coverage on that. This is not an airbrush tutorial, I'm not an expert with an airbrush, but it's pretty straightforward. Nice gentle coats again, blow all the if there's any detritus on there. Do the edges first. Get even coverage on the edges, all the sharp edges. Come round the back a little bit, although you're not going to see most of the back, I'm just carrying it round. And a wee blow. Off the workpiece at the end of each stroke. Good thing about the 0.5 needles, it gives you quite a decent spray pattern. Just pulling some paint through, make sure it's still all coming through okay. And I'm just misting this on. Another wee check on these. Good thing with cellulose paints is it flashes off really quickly, so by the time I've got to the end of the mist coat on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts, I will be back to putting a slightly heavier coat on. I might get this done in one go, but I'm thinking that I might do mist coat, slightly wetter coat, and see where we go from there. So I'm just checking this. Looks clean enough, but checking my tip, there's no rubbish on it. Give the piece a wee blow off in case there's any dust there, and make sure my paint's coming through, which it is. And I'm just going to start by getting the edges. Okay, that's the edges done. A wee mist coat on the top. I'm trying not to speak too much because I'm kind of holding my breath because I've not got my respirator on, and I'm kind of cheating in between the blasts of the spraying. Hold my breath, do a bit of spraying, wait till it's soaked away, and then off again. I wish I could figure out how to do the fast forward bit that Tony and Fox do and dub it over with music, but I don't know how to do that yet. So unfortunately you're watching live painting. As I say, it's not a tutorial, but it's just to give you an idea of the process. So that's a mist coat on that, and I'm just having a wee look at it. It's not looking too bad. It's not looking bad, I've got decent coverage. So I'm going to go back to the first part that I did and go over with a slightly heavier coat. Once I've done that slightly heavier, slightly wetter coat, I'm going to let all the parts dry, and I'm going to let them dry overnight. And then I'll go in, and I'll do this off camera, I'll go in with another coat on top, another wet coat if I feel it needs it. If there's any blemishes on what I've done after the wet coat, once it's all dry, then's the time to dress them back, and then with my buffer stick, and then I'll go over again with the paint, get the top coat on, and then hopefully that's it, all cured, no blemishes, lovely top coat, and we'll go into decaling. So I'm just going to go back onto this back part again. Just checking that I've got plenty of paint left. I've got loads. Just checking my tip's not got any paint build up on it. It hasn't. Making sure my paint's coming through. And I'm going to go in with a slightly wetter coat on this time. Starting on the edges again as usual. You'll maybe notice what I'm doing is I'm not dancing all over the place with my airbrush. I'm going side to side obviously in a spray pattern. I found it coming off at the end, although it's more economical with paint, tends to clog your tip up more. So I just keep it on in a steady spray and rotate the part. Now this is starting to show some nice signs of gloss now. And that little blemish at the back that I was worried about, I can still see it slightly, but it's not as bad as what I thought. So, final blast with a wet coat. When you go in with a wet coat, it does get shiny, but you don't want it that wet that the paint's that thick that it's going to start running. Now this airbrush, with it being thinned down, the paint is a bit thinner, so it's going on a lot thinner than it would with the rattle can. I do know that this particular paint in the rattle can gives a really nice finish. So I'm just seeing how wet I can go with it. Haven't painted it with it much, so here goes, final little wet coat on it. I'm just checking for coverage in that here. I think that's a wet enough coat. I think if I go much wetter with that, I'm going to start getting runs. So I'm going to let that dry and flash off, and that's that bit done. What did I do next? The last time it was the mudguard. I'm going to do the same with that. So just going in with slightly heavier coat, getting all the edges first. White is notoriously hard to spray. Knowing where you've coated, where you've not coated. So keeping the workpiece moving, steady mist, building up the wetness, building up the paint so it's not sticking all in the one part, getting my coverage. And that's my paint run out. So I'm just checking here. Yeah, So that has run through. I'm going to put more in, but I'm not going to film all this, so it just gives you an idea of the process, and I'm going to go and put wet coats on this and see how it ends up. So speak to you later, bye. Welcome back, guys. Okay, that's me got my light dust coat, and then went in with a bit of a wetter coat on all my white bits. So that's the first bit done. I'm going to let them dry overnight. Need to do some clean up now. Now that paint lasted quite well, considering what was in it. It's sitting about there. I haven't really used a lot. I've used a few mil, and I put some self-leveling thinners in there, so there's going to be enough for my top coat. I might need to give it, I went really light because I was scared of getting runs, so my next coat that I go on will be heavier. We'll use a bit more of that up, and if it needs another coat, we'll go with that. There were one or two small blemishes in the tank that I noticed. Not a lot I can do about that just now. I'll need to wait till the paint dries, but if they're sticky out ones, I can give them a wee buff with a buffer stick when the paint's dry, and that will let me sort that out. So I'm just, because this is cellulose paint, it's not as easy to clean up as the lacquer based stuff. So a wee bit cellulose thinners on my colour cap to get, oh, compressor's kicking in, switch it off, the wee bits of rubbish that are going to gum up in there. So basically I'm going to go through the same airbrush cleanup as I would if I was using acrylics, but I'm using cellulose thinners. It is smelly. It's a hot thinner, so it's required for taking all this stuff off. So that's the worst of that off. I have got a little bit of paint left in my colour cup, and I'm no one for wasting anything, so I am just going to take that little bit that's left and tip it into my colour cup. Okay, and then wipe the worst of this out best I can. Hopefully I'm on camera. Nice squeaky noises. To get the worst of that out, I'll put my lid back on my paint, because I'll be using that tomorrow when I go in to do my final top coat or top coats. Right, so next thing I'm going to do, I'll give that a quick wipe out. I'm just going to get some cellulose thinners in there, just a wee drop. I'll put my fan on now. I'm just going to blow that through just now, just as a quick one-off blow through. Okay, just to get the worst of that off. It doesn't look too bad. I'm just going to take a cotton bud. I'm going to pull my trigger back, and I'm just going to mop up anything that's in there just now. That was just to stop the needle getting damaged. Right, so I'm going to put some, same as you do with the other stuff, wee bit thinners in there, nice big soft brush, round about your colour cup, get all the paint off. You might have a wee bit around the lip or whatever, get all that first, a wee bit of deke down round about the needle. This is just an initial clean. I'm not going to blow that through, I'm going to tip it away into an old vessel, and then give this a bit of a wipe, bit of a clean up. Okay, that's not going to get everything out, although cellulose thinners tends to be an easier clean up, I find, because it's hotter than using the alcohol based ones. You sometimes have to get a few bits of work about, but we can see in there that the cup's clean, hopefully. We're getting that on camera. The cup's clean. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to tip this back a bit and tip my needle back and get my soft brush in there, just to get in at the needle. Okay, so a little bit of that. Again, I'm going to tip this away, wipe that out, Now, because I've had my needle back, I've got a lot of stuff sitting on the tip there. So, whilst that is there, I'm going to just, hopefully that's not all went on my camera, it hasn't. I'm just going to work that little bit of thinners around in there, hopefully you can see it, just to clean the tip of the needle and the surrounding cone very gently. Okay, gets any off the tip, and then I'm going to pull my needle back, in there with a cotton bud, clean that bit out, get it all out if we can. I might just, right, I'm pulling my needle back, might just take my crown cap off, okay, and dip my cotton bud in the thinners, and just give that a wee clean round about there. No wanting any build up in there, my needle's safely drawn out the way. Maybe just see the needle. Okay. Making sure there's no crap left on there basically. Take my wee crown cap and just give it a good wee clean out. You do get a wee bit of fine mist or spray round about. Get it off while it's fresh instead of letting it build up. Nice and clean. Right, similarly as if you would do with your acrylic paints, we'll put a little bit into the cup and just put my crown cap back on, or my diffuser cap, give it a little bit of blow back, blow through all the channels, get any crap out. I don't know if you can see it bubbling. Can you see it bubbling? Quite hard to see what you can see if you're on camera or not. Still coming out a touch white. Throw that away. And again, mop out any excess. Obviously turn it upside down so if there's any drips in there it comes out. Another wee splurge of cellulose thinner. Some more blowback. This is just taking any paint up out of the channels that's in there, and that's blowing back clean now. So I'm going to tip that out anyway. Make sure that there's no paint sitting on the rest of the brush, which it doesn't seem to be. We wipe out. And then the final bit I'm going to do, I'm going to put the cap on here. It's just an old coffee jar that I use for putting my cellulose in. It ends up evaporating anyway. Is tiny wee touch in. I'm going to be putting cellulose in this next anyway, and just blow that through and make sure that it's spraying clean. And actually, since I stripped this down last, the trigger tension isn't quite what it used to be, so I'm going to take that up a bit. Oh, Terry, it's playing funny buggers. Oh, there we go. Ah, that's better. So that's clean. Now, I know I'm going to be putting cellulose base paint through this tomorrow. There's no point in leaving any in the colour cup because it will evaporate overnight. I could put some Ultimate Airbrush thinner in it to leave it overnight, but I don't really see the point in that. That's clean. And the cap's clean enough for tomorrow. That's clean up done. So it really didn't take too long. The cellulose thinners itself, it's hot, so it gets everything off in there. So that takes care of the brush cleanup. Obviously tomorrow when I go in, what I'll do is I'll just blow through some cellulose before I start. In with the paint, top coat on, job done. Now the thing I said I was going to tell you last time, when I was painting this chrome, right? Let's see if you can see it here. See round about the lip here. That's the effect I'm actually going for. And it looks like the more you build it up, the better effect you get. So I'm going to have to play about with that and see how I get on with it. So I can't really go any further today. I might a bit later on go and put a second coat of that chrome on off camera. I don't think I'll bother shooting the top coat, because it's just going to be more of this. So hopefully the next time we come back, the next video will have the chrome all done, yay, and top coats on all the white parts all done and dry, yay, and it will be decals. So that's all for just now. I hope you're enjoying this. Terry from Smooth's Workshop, speak to you later, bye.